Yo, what's up boys and girls, it's your boy Swolelax here and I'm back at it again with a video. This time something to deliver today. I feel like we have to talk about heroes. I know it might seem a little bit crazy that this channel is going to be talking about one of 2020's most premier meta decks. But a lot has happened since the last time we talked about heroes, and a lot has happened since the last state of elemental heroes inside of 2019. So welcome to the state of heroes inside of 2020. With that being said, I know that last year's video primarily focused a little more on elemental heroes, but I feel like so much has happened with the other heroes in between the time from 2019 to 2020. So we're just going to be going over the general state of heroes as a whole, which does encompass the elemental heroes specifically. And before we get into today's video, we have to thank today's sponsor, you guys. A huge thank you to you guys for helping to support the channel. If you guys want to, hit that subscribe button down below, that like button, and also maybe follow me on Twitter at Swolelax if you guys want to follow up on my day-to-day habits. I generally also post secret hero techs and hot takes. So without further ado, the question we must ask ourselves inside of 2020 is, are heroes good? Short answer, yes. All right, that's it everyone, goodbye. But seriously, the long answer is that heroes have been good for just a little while now. I actually have been playing heroes past couple months, ever since the YCS in October. If you guys know, I took a little bit of brief hiatus, but have been playing heroes somewhat on the side, but more or less in a less competitive way, playing at a few locals, also going online. So here's the thing, for heroes to get to the top tier status, 3 things had to happen in particular, and honestly, it was the perfect storm. Obviously, one of the biggest things to happen at the turn of the new year was the January 2020 ban list. For the next couple months, we'll be playing inside of this format up until April, where we get the new Master 05, which I cannot wait. But this ban list effectively neutered the top strategies that were existing for so long. Decks like Skystragglers, Orcas, Thunder Dragon. Starting with Orcas, the ban list effectively neutered them to a point to where they are, difficult to play. They do require a lot more extenders and a lot more setups, and there's a lot more points of vulnerability inside their combo. No longer is it as easy to generate value and also to get optimal boards. And while heroes didn't necessarily have a losing matchup against them, it was pretty annoying to deal with things like Dingirsu and also their orchestrated crescendo. In addition to that, if things like IP Masquerader are on board with the orchestrated babble, you get a lot of interruptions on your turn that heroes couldn't necessarily deal with. Not to say that heroes are bad during this time, but with Orcas specifically, it was a little more rough than it should have been. However, there are some pretty funny combos you could do where you essentially just get out Trinity, and that thing is linked, it's linked with Galatea, because the Galatea can be destroyed, and you just hit over that thing because it's not, no effects are being activated, so they can't really, do anything with it. It's not being destroyed, so they can't really activate Dingirsu, so you just hit over them with a bunch of damage for an OTK. Hilarious, in my opinion. And then there's Skystragglers, which just like Orcas, heroes didn't necessarily have a losing matchup to, but it was hard enough to where heroes couldn't really perform at the same level. The biggest problem is that heroes didn't recur enough value fast enough, and Skystragglers, while they were more of a control style deck, definitely generated a lot of value pretty quickly. In addition to that, Skystragglers also had answers like Widow Anchor, ran a myriad of hand traps from Joel and Lockbird, Ash Blossom, Ghost Ogre, and Infinite Permanence. For heroes being a more going second deck, it actually was more beneficial for us to go first because Dark Law was such a powerful card against that board. However, because heroes don't necessarily have protection from destruction, things like Afterburner or even things like Widow Anchor, if they were to take it, were problematic to say the least. And last but not least, the January 2020 ban list absolutely just crushed Thunder Dragon. I cannot tell you how many times I had to play against a Thunder Dragon player either online or in real life that I had to just sit there and wait for an out to Colossus. I had to wait for games 2 and 3 for mind control to kick in or something, even go first and just have a plasma on board, and what if I didn't go first? That would have been so obnoxious. One of the biggest drawbacks to heroes is that they do so much searching to get their power plays and to kind of fix their hand into more optimal boards. With Thunder Dragon Colossus literally being the best Thunder King Ryo you could ever ask for. Huge body, destruction, protection, and could gain value even if you were to attack it, hero players had to work so hard to play against this deck. Specifically, just the one card. So with all these 3 decks being hit on the ban list and effectively going away, and while heroes didn't necessarily have a losing matchup against these decks, it was significantly harder to play against them, so the ban list definitely helped. And now with those decks out of the way, are heroes top tier? Well, they seem to be doing pretty well so far, and the new wave of support definitely helps. Perfect transition into the second thing on this list, and that is that there was a wide range of hero support that came out in between 2019 and now 2020 to give us the power and consistency that heroes were needing. Now, when I say new wave of support, I'm actually talking about the old wave of support before the most recent Evil Heroes and Elemental Hero cards that gave the heroes a much needed edge. In addition, the heroes already had a pretty wide range of support that they could use at their disposal. Plenty of searchers with 3 copies of Stratos, 3 copies of Malicious, 3 copies of Vision Hero Vion, Stratos, and Vision Hero Ferris. Also have great control with things like Plasma and even Dystopia. We all know that heroes have an easy time OTKing their opponents with massive damage with things like Vision Hero Trinity or even Dread Decimator, which I admit, I trashed on Dread Decimator in the past, but nowadays, pretty good. But it's just pretty good, no more, no less. So with the power boost that heroes got from their previous support and the most recent support, you could build heroes in so many ways to fit and tailor your playstyle. Do you want a more control variant? Do you want a more aggressive variant? Going second, going first? You have options for both. But even with that, are heroes top tier? Endless with their way, and they have a bunch of cards that are good against the current meta. What else is missing? Ah yes, the new wave of support. Now, new is going to be a relatively loose term just because I am going to be roping in things like Malicious Bane and a Dusted Gold into this list. 4 new hero support cards came out that gave heroes the necessary push it needed to become the top tier deck that we knew it could be. That's right, baby, 2 evil heroes and 2 elemental heroes. Obviously, the new evil heroes have been out for some time and are actually really costly right now. But are they necessary? I don't necessarily think they're extremely necessary to play heroes at a fun level, or even if you're doing a certain build of heroes, but for the most consistent and most powerful version, you probably do need 1 copy of a Dusted Gold and 1 copy of Malicious Bane at your disposal. I personally got lucky. So lucky, and they were pulled from packs that I was opening just every so often. You're dang sure I'm running them inside of my deck, and they definitely have been giving me a power boost that I think heroes needed, especially in a comeback factor. All heroes before didn't really have a problem with OTKing or have a problem with extending too much. Malicious Bane and Dusted Gold did give a necessary main phase tool that I didn't really think heroes needed, but it was super nice. Whereas Malicious Bane just Ragekis the entire board, can't be destroyed by card effects, and can't be destroyed by battle. Absolutely insane. This card single-handedly gave heroes a good matchup against things like True Draco and other stun decks that previously don't have an out to this card. In addition to that, inside of my Evil Hero videos and also inside of my Malicious Bane videos, I was hoping that we get a card like a Dusted Gold. A Dusted Gold is a card that helps search out Dark Calling directly from the deck, setting up your graveyard, and the craziest thing about it, what I love about a Dusted Gold, is that you can use itself as material to summon out Bane, and the design is just really cool. In addition to that, the theme typing of the Evil Heroes definitely gives a good out to floodgates like There Can All Be One, which was everywhere in the meta. So, you know, these cards are actually pretty dang good. But wait, there's more. Elemental Hero Liquid Soldier and Elemental Hero Sunrise burst onto the scene, both adding solid value to Omni Hero decks and other hero decks that are just looking to have an extra way to get into things like Absolute Zero or potentially Masked Hero Acid, which I'm super excited about, and I absolutely love that you are able to get Absolute Zero out that easily. Absolute Zero is probably one of, if not my favorite, fusion hero monster from the hero archetype. And Liquid Soldier allowing you to draw 2 cards definitely helps you dig deeper and deeper for either 1, more protection, or 2, follow-up plays for next turn. Sunriser also adds a good layer of protection to your hero cards and destruction effect whenever you go into the battle phase. Essentially with all these 4 cards, I'm so happy that the deck objective of heroes is getting met. If you guys have watched my Cyber Dragon videos, you might have noticed that I've been saying things like deck objective, or how Triff Gaming would put it, the game plan. Still a solid impression. But essentially the deck objective of heroes and kind of designing heroes around either 1, the battle phase, or 2, massive destruction and power is something that I feel like Konami was trying to aim to do for the longest time, but instead went a more control/slower route with things like the Masked Heroes, which I know might sound a little bit weird considering that you can activate Mass Change inside the battle phase to consistently swap and deal damage, but the best Masked Hero being Darklaw definitely shows that Konami was okay having the deck be a little bit slower. I've already made a video on that, so you guys can check that out if you guys want to. TLDR is that the slower control variant of Heroes was actually pretty popular for a while, especially for going first. But now Heroes are probably one of the best decks in the format, and for a good reason. They have a myriad of different support that help them play through hand traps and interruptions. They have powerful cards that have effects during the main phase, the battle phase, and also give themselves protection. Heroes have all the right makings of a top tier deck, and I'm so happy that they're able to compete at the highest level. They're definitely not the best deck of the format by any means, but at least they have tools against these decks, especially with their side deck giving you better options in games 2 and 3. Heroes are looking super powerful inside of 2020, and I cannot wait to compete at tournaments with my favorite deck. In addition to that, I also picked up all my necessary engine pieces way back when they were like maybe $3 or $4 a piece. But now Ferris, Increase, Malicious Bane, Dusted Gold, Liquid Soldier, and even Acid are extremely expensive. So I don't know if I can necessarily recommend playing Heroes this format unless you have the budget for it. And there are some budget builds out there. In fact, you and I are going to be doing one, but they're just not as consistent and just not as powerful without these necessary engine pieces. But fear not, because I have hope inside of the hero community. I have hope inside of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I have hope inside of Heroes in 2020. We as hero players will persist through the cost. We will persist through the glass cannon. We will persist for years as we persisted before. We as hero players were in the shadows, lurking, called a rogue strategy. Back when Stratos was at 0 and banned, taken away from our hearts, we persisted on through and pushed Heroes into the new decade. Through the years, we persisted, and now we have Stratos back. We have a top tier strategy, and we persisted for too dang long. Now it's time for Heroes to rise up. That's right, gamers. But I don't know, maybe it's just me. What do you guys think? Let me know in the guys' comment section down below if you guys like Heroes, if you guys hate Heroes. How have you guys played Heroes inside the new format, and how will you guys be playing Heroes in Master Rule 5? I'm curious to know you guys' suggestions, because I actually haven't quite figured out how I'm going to be playing Heroes in the new turn of the Master Rule whenever April 1st comes out, for the WCQ, all that jazz. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on either current hero builds. In fact, you and I are going to be doing a deck profile as well. If you guys want to see that, make sure and hit that like button, or also subscribe down below, hit the notification bell, that way to get notified whenever I upload that. There's gonna be a lot of different hero variants, and in 2020, I'm so excited to play my favorite deck, and I hope you guys are too. But that's all I gotta say about it. I will see you guys later. Peace out.